When we talk about the World Rowing Championships, what exactly are we talking about? 1,700 athletes, more than 60 countries will descend on our area. An estimated 42,000 people will travel to the Suncoast to watch. The championships have been around since 1962. There are 21 classes of boats. Next to the Olympics, it's the biggest thing in the rowing world, and it runs from September 23rd through October 1st at Nathan Benderson Park. And joining us for more is Meredith Scherber, the executive director of the 2017 World Rowing Championships, Joe Dobson, a former U.S. rowing coach, Kristen Hartley, athletic services manager, and Virginia Haley, president of Visit Sarasota. Thank you all for joining us today. And let me start with you, Joe, because a lot of people have heard about this, they're excited about this, but is there a way that you could simply explain what rowing competition is all about?
Well, rowing competition is about doing your very, very best against your best opponents. What we're going to see here in Sarasota is we're going to see the very, very best of those national teams of all those different countries coming here to compete and see what they can do. Every one of these athletes is extremely proud of being selected on their national team. That's a really big deal. And being able to come here and row against the world's best and just be able to see where you're at the beginning of the quadrennial, which is the 4-year cycle going to the Olympics, is going to be a major milestone for these individuals, and all their coaches are really going to have a good chance to see where they're at and how they can perform.
And there are different classifications of boats and numbers of people in the boats, if you could explain that?
Exactly. The boats range from singles up to eights. A single is a single one person with sculling oars, 1 oar in each hand, and 8 is up 8 people plus a coxswain rowing, where each person has 1 big oar in both hands. And all these different classes in between. Not only able-bodied athletes, but also para-athletes, which are handicap athletes that row in 1 of 3 different divisions. People with high spinal cord injuries would be rowing just with their arms and shoulders. Trunk and arms athletes would have lack of mobility with their legs. And what's called the PR3 athletes are ones that may be blind, have other deformities.
Meredith, this has been a monumental effort to bring this to the Sarasota and to the Suncoast. If you could just give folks a sense of basically what, how you went about this.
Sure. So a year and a half ago when I came on board, the team had put together a great bid, and we wanted to bring that bid to life. And so we've developed a team, we've developed a local organizing committee that is now of 160 volunteers from the community who are experts in all the different areas: marketing, communications, visitors experience, all the things that make it an overarching event. And we've put all of our best practices to the test, and we're going to put on the best event ever.
Virginia, we're really big into athletic events here on the Suncoast. We're the home of the Baltimore Orioles, and the Pittsburgh Pirates, and so many other major league teams are coming into this area. But is it safe to say this is the biggest sporting event ever to take place on the Suncoast?
This is absolutely the largest event we've ever had, and it's really opened the door to the world, because as soon as we were awarded this event 4 years ago, now when we talk to sports organizers, it's a whole new conversation. Really, you have the World Championships. You have something of this caliber. Wow.
And what kind of impact do you think this is going to have short term on the local economy? We'll talk about the long term later.
There will not be a quiet, sleepy September this year, let me assure you. The restaurants will be full, they'll be open. There's a marvelous schedule of activities every day of the week, both at the park and throughout the community. From Venice to Anna Maria, there are events going on.
And Kristen, what kind of job is it to look after these athletes who are really coming from near and far to take part in this?
Well, for me, it's amazing. I've been in contact with over 80 teams so far, so for me it just adds to the fact that this is a cultural mecca. It's just going to enhance that. So I'm learning a lot about different cultures, what athletes need to eat, how they need to sleep, what schedule they need to be on. So yeah, it's wonderful.
All right, we are just getting warmed up. We'll have much more right after we check the weather, so stay with us. Welcome back. We are just weeks away from the Suncoast becoming the center of the rowing world. Here to talk about the World Rowing Championships are Meredith Skirba, Executive Director of the 2017 World Rowing Championships, Joe Dobson, former U.S. rowing coach, Kristen Hartley, Athletic Services Manager, and Virginia Haley, President of Visit Sarasota. Joe, I want to start with you again because a lot of people, again, are not familiar with rowing as a sport. They do know if you go up to Tampa, the University of Tampa does something up there. And of course, anybody familiar with Boston knows what happens on the Charles. Are we talking about the same thing, or is this kind of competition totally different?
Well, they're rowing in boats, but that's where it ends. You know, we're talking about the top athletes in the world, people who've been training for years and years and just really fine-tuning their technique and fine-tuning their physical capability to be at the absolute top of their capabilities for the upcoming World Championships.
And you're talking about the nature of the competition, and what you have to do is physically incredible.
Well, imagine, Alan, that you're running a mile and a half, lifting 145 pounds in bench press, or doing squats every 3 steps. And the amount of strain on your body is just incredible. They'll start off where they'll be going through the water at about 50 strokes a minute. That's how many times the oar goes into the water in a minute. And then halfway, and after that, they'll go down to about 38, 37 strokes a minute, which is just barely being able to breathe. And then the last 500 meters, they'll be sprinting again, and their legs will feel like they're on fire halfway through. Their vision will go down where they can barely see black spots, and they'll just be stressing their body to the absolute limit of their capability.
So Meredith, what are we going to see, whether we're out at Benderson Park in person or watching it on TV?
Sure. So the really unique piece is that we are going to be nationally and internationally televised. We have got some really unique production coming behind it with drones, which is of course the new technology that will be in the faces of those athletes, where you can feel the intensity, you can feel the power that goes on with every stroke that they take. So you're going to feel a part of it whether you're watching it on TV, but more importantly, it'll be more fun with all the activities and the cheering and everything that goes on right there at the park. So we hope you'll join us.
Kristen, I'm listening to this explanation and I'm like, my gosh, I hope there are enough services for these athletes who are doing this. You would imagine that they're in the best shape of most athletes, but what do you have prepared there to make sure that they are safe and that there are adequate services there for them?
Well, the community has provided lovely hotels for their comfort, for their rest. It's very important for them to recover at night, and they're on a very strict schedule. We have local caterers who are taking care of their nutritional needs, because depending on what class they're rowing in, rowers need anywhere from the standard 2,000 all the way up to 10,000 calories a day to maintain this kind of intensity in these kind of sprinting situations.
And we're prepared for this?
We are prepared.
Okay. Virginia,
sure.
I want to know about a couple of things. How the area is prepared. You know, we've talked about there are some 70 countries that are coming here. 67 have already booked their hotels. Others are still booking. Do we have enough hotel space? I know that, for instance, when the Republican National Convention was in Tampa several years ago, delegates were staying anywhere from here on the Suncoast to up to Pasco and Hernando County. Is that the same kind of thing?
We are able to take care of all of them right here in Sarasota, Manatee County. We've been able to cluster the hotels to help with the transportation to and from the park. And we've had unbelievable cooperation from our hotel partners and the local caterers to make sure that these athletes do have optimal conditions for their performance.
What has Visit Sarasota done to capitalize on this, so we're not just a one and done event here, that this will bring benefits to our community, specifically economically, for the years to come?
One of the things we've done is created a partnership with British Rowing. The UK is our second largest international source of visitors. Rowing is incredibly popular in the United Kingdom. And by creating this partnership over the last couple of years, it not only builds audience and people who come for this event, but lets them know that we're the kind of place you would want to come. If you're rowing, if you love the sport, you know you can come to this area on vacation.
Meredith, put this in context. How many facilities are there like this in the United States? Let's start there because I have another question.
That's an easy one. We are the sole course in the United States, which is why we're getting to host for the first time in 23 years. And if you don't mind me adding to what Virginia was speaking about, in addition to everything that's been going on with the elite athletes, the level of the reputation that's been built by Nathan Benderson Park has allowed us to get a lot of college teams. So you've got 30 of the biggest rowing programs across the country that now come down here and train every year.
And correct me if I'm wrong, in the next year or so, the NCAA championships are coming
That is correct, absolutely.
And what is that all about?
So when you start talking about in the United States, there's a larger college rowing programs, more so than what you see around the world. And this is where the best of the best in the college level will come and compete in 1, 2, and 3, if I'm not mistaken, to be the best in college sports.
Joe, let me ask you this. If Benderson Park and the facility here is really the only facility of its kind in the United States, how have U.S. athletes been able to train and compete internationally?
Well, that's a good question, because what happens a lot of times is they're going to have to go somewhere else to train in order to acclimate themselves for a particular environment. And they're operating in less than optimum conditions. Nathan Benderson Park had to meet these incredibly stringent rules to be qualified as a Class A course. It was amazing that they actually built Regatta Island and designed the course based upon recommendations of the course qualifier from FISA, Svetlana Osova. So, we're now going to have this incredible Regatta Island, which is 33 acres of dredge from the lake that's been built specifically so that we can maximize the experience, not only for the athletes, but also for our wonderful visitors from out the world. And one of the things which I'm most excited about, because I have an opportunity to announce there at the lake, is all the jumbotrons that they're going to have. So you don't have to have, be on an iPhone or on an iPad, watching on YouTube. You're going to have this huge screen right there in front of you, and you're going to be able to see everything that's going on. And the incredible feed that you're going to get is just amazing, and it's a tremendous experience. And we recently had the wonderful book Boys in the Boat, talking about the 1936 Olympics and those wonderful farmyard boys from Washington. And this has generated a tremendous enthusiasm for rowing. And we are going to put our boys and our ladies in the boat to see what's going on.
Kristen, when are we going to start seeing the athletes come into town and setting up?
The first athletes come to train at Nathan Benderson Park as early as September 7th. So it's pretty soon.
Right. And so and you're dealing with a lot of different categories here.
Correct.
So how do you coordinate all that?
Well, with the help from the experts at the park who have been scheduling trainings for all these colleges that Meredith mentioned, all the rowing events that they already do, so they're kind of experts. So far we have about 35 teams who have signed up to train just at Nathan Benderson Park. They're coming early, get acclimated to the heat. It's a matter of scheduling. Everybody kind of makes a request, and then we try to fit them in throughout the day, through a 12-hour period.
And Virginia, we have less than a minute left, but I did want to ask you, if you're dealing with some 40,000 people who are going to be coming here to watch this, how do you coordinate that with law enforcement and everybody to control traffic and make sure that you can get to point A to point B easily?
I would say that's the largest of our planning teams, and they've been working with all the various jurisdictions for 2.5 years, planning all of the traffic logistics, getting the teams from their hotels to the park, how visitors will walk from the parking to the park. It is a very well thought out plan based on all the events we've seen around the world.
This is exciting, and we're going to take just a quick break, and then we'll have final thoughts from our guests when we return. The World Rowing Championships are just over a month away. Our guests join us right now for final thoughts. And Meredith, what do you want people who are watching this to take away from this conversation in terms of what this is all about?
I think the most important thing is that we've been working very hard as a local organizing committee to make this more than just for rowing fans. We've put together an amazing fan fest, activities that truly are for everyone that wants to be involved, not just if you're a rowing person, and be a part of history. This is our chance as a community.
So even if you're not that interested in rowing itself, it will be interesting to go out there, and I would imagine there's going to be a lot of entertainment. And
a lot. We're going to really show the Sarasota, Manatee County flavor with the circus themes, with the Florida themes, our cheeseburger in paradise experience that we want everyone to come out and enjoy.
Now, Joe, I've always heard that the Olympics are, that's the pinnacle for these kinds of athletes. Is this obviously comes in number 2 in terms of moments in their lives and what they're striving for in their athletic careers?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because what they've done is they've trained, and this is their one time that they are now at the very, very top. They are the top single sculler for their country. They are the top member of the 8. They are the top member of the double. And being at this type of athletic zenith is a very, very passing thing and very, very difficult in order to maintain. So these people are going to be cherishing this opportunity to perform on this big stage for the whole world here in Sarasota.
And Kristen, I would imagine it's quite a challenge to take care of athletes from different countries and different cultures and give them what they need in basically one area.
It is a challenge, but I think it's a challenge that this community has embraced. I think it's something that is the best thing about world events is that it brings so many different cultures together. So it's a time for us to be open and understanding, and also just appreciate the pure athleticism of these young people who are coming to show what they've been training for years.
Virginia, put this into context for our viewers, because sometimes when you hear about the Olympics, you see communities laying out an incredible amount of money, and what they get back is something less, and that leads viewers to say, is it really worthwhile for the community? What would you say to them?
I would say that it is absolutely worthwhile to the community in terms of an opportunity to see a world event in your own backyard. Yes, there's incredible economic impact. Yes, we now have a whole series of international events coming to our community in future years, but it's really that opportunity that you can drive 10 minutes and see something that hasn't been in the United States, or it's only been here twice, and it's right here in our backyard. People have got to go out and see it. They really need to go experience it, to feel the energy of the athletes and experience the different cultures themselves.
Again, very exciting, and thank you all for joining us tonight. Before we go, we want to share with you what some of our viewers are saying about last night's show. Our barrier islands, beautiful beaches, and bad traffic. 2 ways on, 2 ways off means daily traffic nightmares. Judy says locals just stay away from those areas until season is over. Let the tourists deal with the issues. Billy adds, build a diverging diamond interchange across the bay, maybe a roundabout. We are screwed, folks. Bonnie says, stop building new homes, can't handle the people we have now, don't invite more. Well, if you'd like to join the conversation about tonight's topic, just visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/news@7. And FYI, you can watch past discussions. They're on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. Thanks to all our guests for being here tonight. Meredith Skirba is the Executive Director of the 2017 World Rowing Championships. Joe Dobson is the former U.S. rowing coach. Kristen Hartley is with Athletic Services Manager, and Virginia Haley is the president of Visit Sarasota.